G'day, welcome to Art with Alison. Today I'm going to be doing a video on how I mix my paints. It's how I mix my paints for when I do the jewellery dipping and also for pours such as a straight pour or a ring pour. What I'll be showing you today is me mixing Liquitex Basics, DecoArt Extreme Sheen, Liquitex Heavy Body, and some Eraldo De Palo Metallic Brilliant Blue, and some Eraldo Just Simply White. I'll show you how I mix those, where I like the paint to be on the thicker side. Sometimes do the ring pour and the straight pour with thinner paints, but usually I do them with these thicker. And when I say thicker, I mean more viscous, as in viscosity. And when paint has a high viscosity, it means it's on the thicker in consistency side. And when it's of a low viscosity, it's when it's more runny. So yeah, that's the proper way of calling it. Even most of us talk about consistencies. But it's, when thick has so many different meanings, such as, it could be thick in depth, etc. Alright, so I'm going to be showing you a few different paints and how I mix them, because each one seems to be different. So I in Australia use a lot of the Eraldo De Palo paints. This is a metallic, and generally speaking the metallics do come thicker to start with. So you can see this is very thick. So I want a fair amount, because I like to mix up my paints well ahead of time, and I can use them for months basically. I find that so long as I don't add water, they keep for months and months. The ones that I at first was adding a bit of water to, even a few squirts from the bottle, because I'd heard that in one of the videos, just with the water, and they said it stops it from drying out. But all those, after about a month, they all had to be thrown away because they'd all basically turned to water. It was weird. Whereas the ones which I only use Floetrol with, honestly they've lasted for more than a year. So I'll try it with that much. So what I do when I've opened one of my containers, if it's easy to do, I'll put O on it so I know it's been opened. So if I've got two, in fact this evening I first of all picked up one of these, but it didn't have the O on it, so I looked around and found that yes, I already had one metallic brilliant blue. This is from Eraldo. So I looked around and found this one that had the O on it, so I said great, this one's one I've been using before, which you can tell as it's a bit grubby. Well, not grubby, it's just got a bit of paint on it. So that's a good way of storing your paint so that you're not opening ones that don't need to be opened, because yeah, it's obviously good not to open them before time. So I mix my paints with Floetrol, and because I'm in Australia I use the Australian Floetrol. Try and hold it the right way for you. So this is what it looks like. I've not used the US Floetrol, so I don't know the difference, but I watch a lot of Sarah Mack and she uses the American Floetrol usually, or in the past she's mainly used that, and I honestly don't see that there's much difference. There's certainly difference if you want to do swipes. Swipes, the Australian Floetrol do wonderful swipes. You get wonderful cells with the Australian Floetrol when it's mixed with your paint, but for ordinary pours I honestly don't think it makes that much difference. So in here I've poured the Floetrol into here so that I've got it ready to go. I don't have to be dealing with that great big container full. It's a good idea to give it a bit of a shake if it's been sitting for a few days, because it can separate, especially if it's been a while. You get the very clear stuff will come to the top. So yeah, it's a good idea to give it a little bit of a shake. And it's also a good idea not to mix your paints immediately before using them, because you will get air bubbles just by mixing them. So I start off just with a little bit of Floetrol and mix that in. You might want to skip through some of it, or you might want to hear everything I have to say. You never know, I might say something brilliant. You'll think, oh, I'm glad I stayed to listen to that. But I'll try and be educational and tell you things as I go. So this is, very much like when you're cooking. You don't want to add too much of the liquid to the thickest ingredients, because you can end up getting lumps, and nobody wants lumps. So especially in the beginning part, you just add a little bit of the more liquidy stuff to the thicker stuff. So the Floetrol to the paint, which is fairly thick. So it's still very thick, of course. Blub, blub, blub. So each time you can add a little bit more of the Floetrol as you go, because as you go it's getting a little thinner, a little bit lower in viscosity. And yeah, now you might hear noises in the background because I live with lots of Labrador dogs. I breed them. I love all animals, and especially dogs, because it's a bit hard to keep a lot of other animals in the house, whereas dogs are a lot easier, although they do have their challenges. Yes, in fact I'll show you. I'm now wearing a pair of glasses with only one lens because one of my dogs kindly found my glasses from the island bench in the kitchen, and when I turned my back, next thing I hear this crunch crunch. Oh, what's that? And I've tried to pull them out to look reasonable. I'm not wearing these out. So there's one with glass in it still, and that one was totally destroyed. But I can see out of one eye, so that helps. Oh, the fun of dogs. And she's over 2, that dog. You'd think she'd know better. But hey, it's fun. It gets mum's attention. Not that they don't get lots. They're very loved, and I've got 12 here at the moment, and they all live inside the house with me. Wouldn't have it any other way, and they're great company. And you might hear some snoring because I've got one nearby here at the moment who's in this room with me. Echo, who's 12, nearly 13, and yeah, she's a sweetheart. As they all are, even when they're naughty. So I can start adding more now because it's getting, I don't know why it's wobbling. So because it's thinner now, I can add larger quantities of the Floetrol. Still very thick though. Add some more. Alright, so I'll leave that one. So I'll show you. It's leaves quite a thick mound on a mound. And it leaves a trace for quite a few seconds. It comes off the spoon beautifully. So I'll put that one aside. Right, so now I'll do the fluorescent pink. Now, what I didn't do with the last one, but what I find is often good is to have a little bit of the Floetrol down the bottom to start with. That helps prevent the paint just hard to get off the bottom if you put the paint straight onto into the container with nothing else there. So I use a fair bit of this. Always make sure it's closed properly, otherwise if air gets in it can dry it up. Mix that in first. It's important to not add too much in the beginning, too much of the more liquid ingredient to the more solid ingredient. Just a little bit at a time. It's probably a little on the larger size, but there's a fair amount of this pink in here, so it should be fine. Mix it all in. So it's still very thick, so I'll add a bit more. This is still a bit too thick because it's not a metallic. Well, that's looking good. So a lot of it is how I feel it as it goes, and that comes with experience. As you get more experience at doing this, you get to feel the paint and how it feels as you push your spoon or whatever you have through the paint. And then, of course, this test is a really good one. You see how well it falls from the spoon. You see how high the part is where it falls into the paint. And then, because you can see it's mound on a mound, and then you move it around and you see how long the trace lasts for, and that's really good. Alright, so it's a good idea to write on the lids what it is that went into this pot. So I can write on here LIQ, so I know it's Liquitex. basics. And then I write here, that lets me know it's with. Floetrol. Well, these days they're all with Floetrol. But who knows, one day I might use glue or something and then I'll know what's what. So I will put that on there, but not just now. Let's go through them all. This is Liquitex Heavy Body Ultramarine Blue in brackets red shade. Start from the top here and push it down. I'm pretty sure I'm going to use all of this. This is a beautiful colour. Squeeze it out. Sometimes it's worth getting some scissors or a knife and cutting your tube to get all of it out, but I won't do that just now. I might do it another time because it's all quite expensive and it's a shame anyway to waste any. Alright, so not terribly much, but because it's heavy body it's much thicker. So I'll show you it's a very high viscosity. So because of that, running out of Floetrol on this one. I should have put the Floetrol in first, shouldn't I? But it might have been too much. Just add a little bit at a time and just move your spoon around to incorporate a little bit of it at a time into the bigger part of the paint. So kind of squash it in and then move it into the paint by twirling that around. The thicker or the higher the viscosity your paint is, the more likely you are to end up with lumps. So you need to be very careful with this, because if I just poured a whole heap of the Floetrol in there, I almost definitely will end up with lumps, which are much harder to get out once they're there. I find if that ever happens, if you get a little sieve and pour it through the sieve into a container, into a clean container, and then you should catch the lumps. And you can try squashing those lumps out after that, and then put that through the sieve again to make sure that you have got, that you're only having the non-lumpy stuff as your paint. Otherwise, yeah, it could be a bit of a disaster for your painting if it's got big lumps in it or little lumps. So just add it in gradually and then all through the rest of the paint. And it's also a good idea to scrape it off, because here is pretty much as the consistency that we started with. So that's right touching the spoon. And before the rest of it becomes too liquidy. So yeah, it does take a little while. It's getting a bit runnier. It's still very thick. Right, so I've got another one of these. So now it's getting thinner, I'm able to add more of the Floetrol in. And when you're mixing, make sure that you are getting to all the corners and all the base of the container and the sides. I have started another channel where I've got videos of my dogs and puppies, if you wanted to watch that. It's called Jarrah Gum Labradors. I'll put the name at the bottom here. It's still very thick. It's hard to feel it when it's not very much of it in there, if you know what I mean. My whole spoon isn't dipped in it. So I'll have to go more by how it runs off the spoon. Still too thick. As you can see, I can do much bigger squirts of the... See how that's turned into... Isn't that gorgeous? Turned into little cells already. So pretty. It's quite magic actually. The first time I was doing this liquid acrylics and I put what looked like white, the Floetrol, into a dark colour, and it's like, oh, and then it just goes straight back to the dark colour. I was like, wow, it's amazing. And of course it becomes completely clear when it dries. Aha, now this feels like it. Oh, it's coming off beautifully, mound on a mound. Trace for a little while. Oh yeah, just perfect. Alright, put that one there. So now I'll do, this one is Aquamarine. Just give that a bit of a shake. So this is a Deco Art Extreme Sheen in Aquamarine. The Extreme Sheen colours of the Deco Art are gorgeous, and when you're doing things like your straight pours, you'll get beautiful cells coming up simply because you've got the Deco Art in there. I'll just put a squirt of that in. I might go and get another pot of this, because it would be good to make up a larger amount. See if I can just rest that there. So what I would normally do is, because it's quite thick, this paint, I would try and prop it up on something and let them drain out over a bit of time. It's a bit hard when I'm doing a video. Let me see. Maybe I could just start doing another one. I better shake that. See what happens with the extreme sheens, it ends up very runny, it separates, and you've got some very, very liquidy, gooey stuff that sits on the top. That's a good idea to give it a bit of a shake before you start using it. Or you can just mix it in your bowl if you want. That'll do for now. I might come back to you. Alright, so I'll just mix in this is just 100% of the extreme sheen paint. I'm just mixing that thoroughly so the liquidy bit is mixed in. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, gorgeous colour. Liquid silk. So what I do now is I get the Floetrol and I fill it to about half full, and then give it a good shaking. Mix that in, otherwise you end up with a lot stuck to the sides, whereas this way you're going to get the paint mixed into the Floetrol. And then I'm not going to pour it into there, I'm going to pour this into here. That will help me to not have to use so much of the Floetrol to get it out of the bottles. So now I'll give this one a good shake and get it off the sides. Turn it around as you go. That helps get it off all the sides a lot better. And then pour this. Now you might be wondering, why don't I open this up and pour it through the little spout? It's because you're more likely to get air bubbles if you're doing it that way than if you do it through an open bottle. So then mix that in. Still quite thick what's coming out. Because this is quite thick to begin with, it does, a lot of it sticks to the sides of the bottles, so what comes out is quite thick. So I'll do another half a, don't want to fill it right up or it'll be hard to shake the stuff off the sides. Alright, so it's a bit more runny this time, so I'll do it a bit more gradually. Check it as I go. You saw about do it. You hold your bottle to the side for a short while, then the paint should start sliding down, and then you tip it again, and you might get more out. Yeah, here it comes. There we are. Yeah, I can see through the bottom now, so I think it's got pretty much almost all of it out, really. So that's that. Have a look. Yeah. Again, this is a metallic, so you want it a bit thicker than the other paints. And the non-metallics. Yep, beautiful. So now I will do just the white. This is quite thick. So you can see I don't usually do ratios with most of my paints, because like this is a really thick white. Sometimes the white in the Araldo is a lot runnier than this one. So even if I was talking about a particular paint colour and brand, it might not be true the next time. So because it's a lot thicker or higher viscosity to begin with, I'm obviously going to need to be adding more Floetrol to it to get it to the right consistency. As this is a non-metallic, I will want it to the same consistency as, what was it, the pink, that one there. And if I was doing any other non-metallics, I want to keep them all the same. So stir, stir, stir. Takes quite a bit of time. I think most people have no idea the time it takes to prepare for doing a paint pour. And yeah, I don't know what people think about the jewellery dipping, but yeah, people generally don't appreciate the before and after time. All the mixing of the paints, the preparing of the paints, the getting everything out, putting it away, or buying in the first place. And at the end, all the cleaning up takes a long time. This is still very thick. But I use this white. It's a good all-purpose white. I use it in the pours, and I use it as a base coat sometimes. Yeah, it's just a good all-purpose one. The Araldo paints are a lot less expensive than some of the paints, the other paints. And they're still very good quality. I am impressed with the quality of them. I do very much like them. I have to use this one this time because the other one's still got blue on it. Not blue in the white. it's getting better, but as it's a non-metallic, it's still too thick. If that was a metallic, that would be pretty close. So yeah, I've been getting quite a lot of views on the jewellery videos. So if you're one of those viewers, thank you so much for watching and for supporting my channel by watching, liking and subscribing. That all helps. Well, this is looking closer. Feels nice. Maybe just a tad more. The jewellery sure sells the best. Like in the local art and craft shop, I've got jewellery and paintings. And yeah, they sell, well, I get a lot more income from the jewellery than the paintings. Paintings sell from time to time, but the jewellery sells quite a lot. Yep, happy with that. Now these are just from soup, just from eating some soup from the supermarket. And you just wash them out, put them in the dishwasher to make sure that all the oils come out. Okay, so this is lovely and thick, even though it's not as thick as the heavy body, but it's just gorgeous. Love this consistency and the colour. Feels like, I don't know, like some sort of thick sauce. Like a plum sauce. Now I've got to have some idea of ratios, I suppose, so it fits. It could end up being like 2 to 1, as in 2 parts floater or 1 part paint. Or it could be, yeah, it's probably going to be about that. As I say, I don't do for ratios. Make sure it's done up really tightly. Oh, now. There's a fair bit in there, so that's why it's more Floetrol than in some of the others, because there's simply more paint. Yeah, this is actually quite thick still, isn't it? I hope I left enough room. So it probably is about a 2 to 1. Just getting there, slowly. Oh, it's still very thick. Hopefully I'll get there in a minute. You can see when it will mix with the white, it'll make a very pretty colour. I love the dioxazine purple. Such a beautiful colour. Well, it's still thicker than I'd like. I think I put too much paint in to start with, didn't I? Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Stunning. I've gone over the edge. I think when I go to use it, I'll need to put some in another smaller container. It's very close. Yeah, it could be. Could be alright. But always before using my paints, I like to check on their consistencies because they can sometimes change a bit. It's always important to stir when you open up your paints to use after they've been mixed. Give them a good stir, but a gentle stir because you don't want to be adding any air bubbles. You just give it a stir and make sure that it's all mixed thoroughly so then you can know the consistency properly. Actually, that's good now. Yeah, wow. That was lucky. Because I've now incorporated it all in. Yeah. That was a big squirt in the end, wasn't it? Well, I hope that this has helped you. Please let me know if it has. And please, as you know, we all like you guys to subscribe because it helps YouTube to realise that people like watching us. I think that's the reason. And they're more likely to promote our videos to others. And it's actually a lot of work making videos. A lot of time goes into them. So please, the way you can support us is by subscribing, liking the video and making comments. So it's always lovely to hear from people if my videos have been of help and they've enjoyed them. It's very encouraging when you get that feedback. I hope you're all going well. Please let me know how you are. I'd love to hear from you. I have an art group. I have a group called Acrylic Pouring and More for all types of artists at all levels, and it's somewhere where you can post anything really to do with art, and lovely to see what you're doing. We've got over 56,000 or something at the moment members, so please join. And yeah, As I mentioned before, I have a dog channel, Dogs and Puppies, so you can see what they're doing. Be having puppies soon, so get to see what they're up to. It's always fun. Alright, thanks heaps for watching, and I will catch you again soon. Bye for now.